So I assume we have all heard about the International Criminal Court's decision to issue arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and his previous defense minister, Yoav Gallant. And this actually prompted me to do some research to understand how does the International Criminal Court works, how are the judges selected to be part of this court, and who are the specific judges that issued that arrest warrant? Where do they come from? What is their background? So stick with me and let's see how it goes. Basically, it seems to be a somewhat straightforward and transparent process, at least at the surface level. So what happens when, if we start with which or how are the judges selected to be part of the criminal court? As we know, the International Criminal Court has 124 countries as part of it. So what happens is that every country nominates one person to be a judge. I assume it's selective, so not every country has to nominate somebody, but each country has the right to nominate one judge. And what happens is that after all these judges are nominated, the nomination goes to something called the Assembly of States Parties. So the Assembly of States Parties, ASP. This assembly basically comprises all the member states. It conducts its elections, and to be elected, to become part of the ICC as a judge, you need to secure a two-thirds majority from the participating states. Okay, so once the once the Assembly of State Parties chooses the judges that are going to be part of the International Criminal Court, these judges are elected for 9 years, and this term is non-renewable. So once somebody is a judge for the ICC, he or she gets to be there for 9 years, but that is non-renewable. So it's only one time, okay? And as part of their job, they are not allowed to engage in activities that are likely to interfere with their impartiality or judicial functions, which is normal for judges around the world in general. So what happens is that once you are selected, the ICC presidency assigns judges to one of three divisions. You have pre-trial, you have trial, or you have appeals. And this division assignment depends on the judge's expertise, such as, let's say, criminal law, procedure, or international law. Okay? And the case assignment, that is, which cases you will be assigned to as a judge at the ICC, is also distributed similarly. And the distribution is based on the needs of the court and the expertise of judges within a division. So, for example, pre-trial chambers handle the early stages of proceedings, such as issuing arrest warrants and confirming charges. So, what happened with Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant is that the arrest warrant was actually issued by the pre-trial chambers, and this is completely normal. So the pre-trial chamber sees the evidence, looks at it, studies it, hears the perspective of both parties, all parties, and decides based on the evidence whether or not to issue an arrest warrant. So in the case of Netanyahu, the pre-trial chamber has reviewed the evidence and decided that there is enough evidence to justify bringing Netanyahu to court. So it's not enough evidence to condemn him, to say he's guilty, because that's not the pre-trial chamber's expertise. The pre-trial only decides if there's enough evidence for a trial, and when it does so, then it issues arrest warrants as it happened with Netanyahu. Okay? So the presidency of the ICC ensures that the judges within a chamber represent the balance of legal traditions and skills. So a presiding judge is elected within each chamber to lead the proceedings. Okay, so this in general is how the International Criminal Court works. That's how the judges are chosen. These are the different chambers, and how they are nominated, and how long they can be a judge at the International Criminal Court. Okay, so now let's move to see who are the judges that are part of the pre-trial chamber that issued the arrest warrant against Netanyahu. Like we said before, there are three chambers. The pre-trial chamber is the one that decides that there is enough grounds for a trial, and it's the one that chooses to issue arrest warrants. In the case of Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, there are three judges. The first one is called Judge Nicolas Guillou. I hope that's the right pronunciation. He's France. He's from France. He's French, and he has extensive knowledge of criminal law, international criminal justice, and both substantive and procedural law. He has significant experience with cases involving crimes against humanity and war crimes. Some of the highlights of his careers are him being a former pre-trial judge at the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, handling over 350 decisions related to indictments, search warrants, and witness protection. He was the advisor on criminal legislation and policy to the French Minister of Justice, contributing to the establishment of the Division for War Crimes at the Paris Court. That's a big deal. He also held roles as a diplomatic legal advisor and as chef du cabinet at the Special Tribunal for Lebanon. And he also was the contributor to the ICC governance reviews and performance indicators for international criminal courts. He is apparently fluent both in English and French, and he is also has also developed judicial ethics codes and led training sessions on fair trials and legal systems globally. So that's the first one. The second judge is Judge, I assume this Renée Alapini Kanzo. She's from Benin. She is a pioneer in human rights law with a strong background in African legal systems and international justice. She's a judge at the African Court on Human and People's Rights and a member of the International Commission of Inquiry on Mali. She was a former special rapporteur on human rights defenders in Africa for the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and she has published extensively on human rights issues and led significant international human rights initiatives. The third judge is Betty Huler. She is from Trinidad and Tobago and Germany as well. So she is specialized in human rights law, international law, criminal law, and international justice. She worked as a senior appeals counsel in the office of the prosecutor at the ICC, involved in critical appeal cases. She served in advisory capacities related to post-conflict justice and law reform in several countries, including Afghanistan and Sierra Leone. Her work encompasses legislative reform and capacity building in emerging justice systems. So she has quite the expertise. So these judges together, they basically bring a wealth of knowledge, cross-jurisdictional experience, and demonstrated commitment to justice and accountability, making them instrumental in high-profile decisions at the ICC. And it seems to me that they look like a very good option for what's happening in Palestine right now. So the fact that they have been chosen to be part of this extremely high-profile case at the International Criminal Court is high praise indeed, because say that I think this is by far the most important, the most influential, the most historical case that the International Criminal Court has ever taken. I'm very interested in keeping track of the advancements and progress of this case, the case against Netanyahu and Garland, and I will keep an eye on it and I will keep you updated in the case. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.